This video is for yoga teacher training students, but it's really for anyone who has a interest in Hinduism and yoga and the Bhagavad Gita. We're going to do the essence of the Gita. Now, I chose 18 verses or shlokas. Shloka is a verse in Sanskrit. 18 shlokas. Why 18? 18 is a symbolic number. There are 18 chapters of the Gita. 108, which is 18, with a 0 in the middle, 108. 108 is kind of like the magic number in yoga or Hinduism. 18 is also symbolic of life, like in Hebrew. The word chai, which some Jews wear, it's a chet and a yud. It equals 18 in numerical. It's called gematria actually, but numerologically, chai is 18. When you toast, you say l'chaim, to life. So 18 is kind of significant of like got the essence, right? So now no one has the 18 essential verses. This is just my take. I've also looked at Swami Shivananda's take on the essence of the Gita. He actually has a section in his translation called the essence. It's in the introduction. It's called the essence of the Gita. So I might refer to that a little bit. But I'm just going to go through the verses that really stood out for me when I was going through the Gita this past year. And we'll just talk briefly about each one. Chapter 2. Most people say that the Gita really starts chapter 2, verse 11. This is chapter 2, verse 16. Nāsato vidyate bhāvo, nābhāvo vidyate sataḥ, ubhayorapi dṛiṣhṭo stvanayos tattva-darśhibhiḥ. The unreal has no being. There is no non-being of the unreal. There is no non-being of the real. The truth about both has been seen by the knowers of the truth, or the seers of the essence. Okay, so the unreal has no being. There is no non-being of the real. The truth about both has been seen by the knowers of the truth. This is an interesting one, especially because of the way A Course in Miracles starts. It starts with, and this is basically the start of the Gita, Krishna talking to Arjuna and saying, hey man, don't have a cow. Everything's okay. You don't have to fear, because everything you're seeing here is not really ultimately real. And you want to focus on what is real. And in the Course in Miracles, starts with, nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. And Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita is saying something very similar here. The unreal has no being. There is no non-being of the real. The truth about both has been seen by the knowers of the truth. Okay, so we'll go on, but that to me is a key one, is a key verse. And then we have chapter 2, verse 48, which is where Krishna gives a definition of yoga. What is yoga? So, yoga-sthaḥ kuru karmāṇi saṅgaṁ tyaktvā dhanañjaya siddhy-asiddhyoḥ samo bhūtvā samatvaṁ yoga uchyate. Perform action, O Arjuna, being steadfast in yoga, abandoning attachment, and balanced in success and failure. Evenness of mind is called yoga. So, samatvaṁ yoga uchyate. Samatvaṁ, the word samatvaṁ often gets translated as evenness of mind. Sometimes it's also translated as equanimity. And that means that your mind is undisturbed in all situations. Wherever you are in a state of peace, tranquility, calmness. You are balanced in success and failure, and you're balanced really in everything. You're steadfast in yoga. You remain steadfast. You remain yoked. Yoked in yoga. And you are unattached. You're perfect in non-attachment. In a good way, though, not in a way that where you're not, attached and not really a responsible person, but you're still a responsible person, but you're just not attached. You're able to feel joy and express love even more from that place. So samatvaṁ yoga uchyate. So yoga is said to be equanimity, evenness of mind, a balanced mind, balanced awareness or consciousness. Okay. Chapter 3, 21. Yad ācharati śhreṣhṭhas tad evetaro janaḥ sa yat pramāṇaṁ kurute lokas tad anuvartate. Whatever a great person does, others also do. Whatever they establish as the standard, the world follows. Another translation, whatever the best of the world do, the rest of the world will follow their standard. This is a way of saying that those who do this inner work ultimately are the leaders of the world. And so you want to be aware of that, first of all, because you aware that getting to this place of equanimity, this place of samatvaṁ, is no small task, first of all, and it is really to be honored and to be understood that in a sense, such a person who gets to that place is really setting the standard. But also the person, you can fall from that place, by being egotistical or by doing things which are not in keeping with dharma. Dharma means righteousness or law or moral order. So you don't want to do things that will, as a leader, you want to do things that will be that you will want people to follow, and not do things that will lead people to do things that are not according to dharma. This is a deep subject, and we're not going to go into it right now that much, but it's something, it's a verse to really reflect on and to really talk more about. So chapter 3, verse 27 is the next one. So we've done 3 so far. This is the 4th one. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmāṇi sarvashah ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. All actions are wrought in all cases by the qualities of nature alone, prakriti. He whose mind is deluded, and the word for delusion is moha, and the verb is vihudatma, I guess that's the adjective, those who are bewildered by the ego, misidentified with the body. So those whose minds are deluded by egoism think, I am the doer. Okay, so this is a very important one, that you don't think I am the doer, right? Everything is being done according to some process by which we are not fully aware of, right? I think this goes beyond maybe even what this is saying exactly, at least on the surface. I think really what it's getting at is to get to a place of non-judgment, because you become aware that there's a process unfolding, there's a plan unfolding that is beyond our comprehension. But we can, if we are quiet and still, we can tune into what that is. And we realize that it's beyond us. It's beyond our ego. So this is all about dissolving the ego, so that we can we can see reality for what it really is, not what we think it is. That's the short of it. Chapter 4, verse 7. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata adyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Whenever there is a decline of righteousness and an increase of unrighteousness, and the word there is dharma and adharma, O Arjuna, then I manifest myself. So this is Krishna talking to Arjuna and saying, whenever righteousness is on the decline on planet Earth, or maybe on any planet, for all we know, but definitely on planet Earth, then God takes form as a human to bring back, in other words, an avatar is sent to bring back the Dharma once again, and this is what Krishna does. This is Krishna's role is to restore Dharma once again to humanity, and this happens. It'll say in this next one, chapter 4, verse 8. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. For the protection of the good, for the destruction of evildoers, and for the reestablishment of righteousness, dharma, I am born in every age. For the protection of the good, for the destruction of evildoers, and for the reestablishment of righteousness, dharma, I am born in every age. So this is to say that the avatar comes in every age. What is an age? Maybe every generation, or every time that dharma is on the decline, an avatar comes to restore dharma, and that includes protecting the good, destroying the evildoers, and reestablishing dharma. Now that sounds, like there are some that are good, some that are evil, they're the wicked and the sinners and the saints, or the ones that are good and ones that are not good. I think there's a way to read the Gita maybe in a deeper way than just the surface reading, and you have to read it all in context as well. But we're not going to necessarily do that right now. We're just getting to some of the essential points of the Gita. Chapter 4, verse 11. Ye yata mam prapadyante tans tattva bhajamyaham mama vartmanuvartante manushya partha sarvashaha. In whatever way mortals take refuge in me, thus do I reward them. Human beings everywhere follow my path, O Arjuna. This is a variation, it seems, on the idea that paths are many, truth is one, and that the God here called Krishna or Vishnu is the father, so to speak. Krishna is the son, but the father and the son are one. So Krishna is an avatar of Vishnu. Krishna, as the avatar of Vishnu, is saying to Arjuna, in whatever way humans take refuge in me, I reward them. Human beings everywhere follow my path. Everyone gets rewarded according to the path that they're on. Human beings everywhere follow my path, meaning I take that to mean that everyone really is coming back to God ultimately, right? No matter what path you're on, you're going home. That's one way of reading that, but that's not the only way. But we'll go on. Chapter 6, verse 2. Yam sanyasam iti prahur yogam tam vidhi pandava nah yasanyasta sankalpo yogi bhavati kaścana. What they call, quote, renunciation, unquote, know that to be yoga, O son of Pandu. No one becomes a yogi who has not renounced selfish desire. So this is another definition of yoga that Krishna is giving, and he says yoga is renunciation, sannyasa or sannyasam is yoga. Renunciation, sannyasa, is yoga. And what is renunciation? Renouncing selfish desire. So you give up selfish desire, and that renunciation is yoga. And that's really ultimately what yoga becomes, is you start to look at how you are acting according, you could say, let's put it this way. You are following fear and not following love, right? Your actions are based in fear. They're fear-based and they're not love-based. And as long as your actions are fear-based, they will be selfish, because you'll be focused on I, me, mine. You'll be focused on the little me. You'll be focused on my issues, my problems, my lacks, my limitations, my ego.
Dad, don't interrupt me because I need to go pee.
Okay, bud. And then mommy wants you in the kitchen, okay, bud? I won't interrupt you. Don't worry, bud.
Because I'm going to be so close to your table.
Okay, bud. It's okay.
Like right over here.
All right, bud.
Don't even look.
No worry. I'm not going to look. You're not on the video either, bud. No one's going to see you. Oh, but they're going to hear you. All right. Chapter 6, verse 23. Here we go. Tam vidya dukkha sanyoga viyogam yoga sannitam sa nischayena yoktavyo. Okay, bud. Yogo nirvina cetasa. This is another definition of yoga. Let this be known by the name of yoga, the dissolution of union with pain, or freedom from suffering. I like that better. Freedom from suffering is yoga. This yoga should be practiced with determination and with an undespairing mind. Freedom from suffering. And so, dukkha sanyoga viyogam. Dukkha sanyoga viyogam. This would be one to remember, to memorize. Dukkha is suffering, pain and suffering, sorrow, despair. Sanyoga viyogam means the dissolution or the severance of union. Sanyoga would be union with dukkha, and viyoga would be the severance. So severing or cutting, unjoining our friendship with suffering, right? So we want to stop suffering, and we can do it through yoga. Dukkha sanyoga viyoga. All right, I'm going to go on. Chapter 7. By the way, that's also what Buddha said. Buddha said, life is suffering, or suffering, dukkha. This is the first noble truth. Suffering is due to attachment, desire, selfish attachment. But you can stop suffering. There's a way to stop suffering. And then the fourth noble truth is the noble eightfold path of the Buddha, which is basically the Buddha's yoga, the Buddha's yogic path. Chapter 7, verse 3. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhye. Let's chant it. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhye. Yatatam api siddhanam kaschimam veti tattva-tah. Among thousands of humans, one may perchance strive for perfection. Even among those successful strivers, only one may perchance know me in essence. This is a very important one. I think this gets at the challenge of the spiritual path, filled with perils and pitfalls. It's also called the razor's edge path. And I would read the Katha Upanishad together with the Bhagavad Gita, because the Katha Upanishad talks about the razor's edge path. And that it's like, in a way you could say it's like climbing Mount Everest. Not many people try, not everyone gets to the top. Maybe relatively few actually get to the top alive and get back alive. Maybe more so now than in the past. I mean, originally it was just Sir Edmund Hillary and whoever else, right? And Sir Edmund Hillary was asked famously, why did you do it? Why did you climb Everest? And he was like, because it was there. So, same with the spiritual journey, why do it? Because it's there. It's good to keep in mind that not everyone necessarily in one given lifetime will necessarily go all the way with this. It's as far as I understand, it's the most challenging thing in the world. It's more challenging than climbing Mount Everest. Try it and you'll see. If you might be on the path already, but you might already see how difficult it is when you start to look at the mountain that you have to climb, and how narrow it gets as you get to the top, and how as you get closer it gets more challenging. It's darkest as you get closest to the dawn. So not something to forget, I think. It's good to keep that one in mind. Chapter 9, verse 29. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dvesho stina priyaha ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya mayi teteshu chapyaham. I am the same to all beings. There is none hateful or dear to me. But those who worship me with devotion are in me, and I am also in them. This is one of my favorite verses. I think this is gets more to the essence. Earlier, there was that verse that said, I come to restore Dharma, which means to vanquish the evildoers and to protect the good. This is saying, though, no one is hateful or dear to me, right? I don't play favorites. God does not play favorites. But that said, you might say paradoxically speaking, those who are close to me are dear to me. Why? Because they're dear. Because they are nearer and they feel the love. They're feeling the love, and that's why they're more dear. It's not because I am playing a favorite with them. It's because they're feeling the love, and so they feel me more, right? But in reality, God does not change, and God does not play favorites. God is the same to all, and the word in Sanskrit is sama, right? Sama, it's like samatvaṁ. Same. It's the same as our words. Same, right? In English. Chapter 14, verse 11. Ye yatamam prapadyante tanstateva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashaha. In whatever way... Sorry, I already did that one. Let's go back. Let's go further. Chapter 11, verse 12. This is the famous chapter where Krishna reveals his cosmic form to Arjuna, because Arjuna asked him to do that. And then Arjuna's like, I had enough. Please take it away now. Stop the acid trip. Divi Surya Sahasrai divi surya sahasrasya bhaved yugapad uttita yadi bha sadrishisya syad basas tasya mahatmanaha. This is a famous line that what's his name said at Los Alamos. Robert Oppenheimer, who was the most prominent scientist behind the first atomic bomb at Los Alamos, New Mexico. And he famously quoted this line: "If 1,000 suns were to rise simultaneously in the sky, such splendor would resemble the splendor of that great being." And Oppenheimer said that as the first atomic blast, the mushroom cloud went up, and he quoted this line. And Oppenheimer was a student of the Bhagavad Gita. And he also quoted another line, which was, "I am become death." It's also from the Bhagavad Gita, but he quoted it, kind of a weird translation, because it's not really what the Sanskrit actually says. "I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I don't think that's the exact translation. We'd have to read that another time, though. Maybe I'll do a video just on that, like on what Oppenheimer quoted during the first atomic blast in Los Alamos. I believe it was 1942, 43, I forget. By the way, that movie is a good one to watch, Oppenheimer. Chapter 13, verse 17, Jyotisham api tajyotis tas tamasa paramuchyate jnanam jneyam jnanagamyam hridi sarvasya dṛiṣhṭitam. That light of all lights is said to be beyond darkness. It is knowledge, the knowable, and the goal of knowledge, seated within the heart of all. This is a beautiful one. The light of all lights is seated in your heart. It's beyond all darkness. It's the goal of knowledge, right? Jnana is knowledge, wisdom. That wisdom is within you, and all you need to do is turn your mind in yourself and find it. Chapter 13, verse 25. Jnani natmani pashyanti kechid atmanam atmana anye saṅkhyena yogena karma yogena chapare. Some know the self through meditation, others through the yoga of knowledge, sankhya, and still others through the yoga of action. This is Krishna's way of saying there's different paths, right? There's meditation, Raja Yoga. There's the yoga of knowledge, Jnana Yoga. There's the yoga of action, Karma Yoga. He doesn't mention bhakti here, but bhakti is the devotional path. But all these paths reach the same place, right? Don't think that these paths are different. They're all really going the same way, same goal. Excuse me. And there's four main paths that Krishna more or less brings in the Gita. We have bhakti yoga, the yoga of devotion. We have karma yoga, the yoga of action, selfless action. We have jnana yoga, the yoga of knowledge or discriminating between the real and the unreal. And then we have jnana, bhakti, karma, and raja, which is meditation. All right. Chapter 14, verse 5. Sattvaṁ rajastama iti guna prakriti sambhavaha nibbadnanti mahabhaho dehe dehinam avyayam. These qualities, the gunas, O Arjuna, born of prakriti, born of nature, bind fast in the body of the embodied, the indestructible, purity, passion, and inertia. So this is bringing in the three gunas, which are sattva, purity, rajas, or passion, and tamas, or inertia, or ignorance, or darkness. Sattva, rajas, and tamas. Sattva is really where we're going. We want to go from tamas to rajas to sattva. We don't want to stay in the darkness. We want to get out of the darkness. We want to get passionate about our spiritual journey, and let that rajas, that passion, take us to the purity, and eventually we transcend even the purity, even sattva we transcend, and we go back beyond prakriti. We realize that we are not material. We are not a body, and we are not. We are spirit. We are not prakriti. We are purusha. We are the spirit. Chapter 15, verse 5. Nirmana moha jita sangha dosha. This is a weird one. This is a longer one, actually. So I'm just going to read it. This is not the same meter. Nirmana moha jita sangha dosha atyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha dvandver vimukta sukha dukkha sangnir gachanti amuda padam avyayam tat. Free from pride and delusion, victorious over the evil of attachment, dwelling constantly in the self, their desires having completely turned away, freed from the pairs of opposites known as pleasure and pain, they, the undiluted, reach the eternal goal. I chose this one because this one is one of the clearest ones that really gets to all of the attributes of the yogi, right? The yogi is free of pride and delusion, victorious over the evil of attachment, constantly dwelling in the self. Desires are, they've left all selfish desires in the dust, freed from the pairs of opposites known as pleasure and pain. They've gone beyond duality. They're undiluted. They're suffering not from any delusion or any illusion, and they reach the eternal goal. And the eternal goal would be pada avyaya, the eternal abode. And finally, we get to the last two, which are also considered by Shivananda to be maybe the most important verses in the entire Gita. This is in the last chapter, verse 65, 1865. Chapter 18, verse 65. Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mam evaishyasi satyamte pratijane priyosime. Fix your mind on me. Be devoted to me. Sacrifice to me. Bow down to me. You will come to me. I truly promise you this, for you are dear to me. So fix your mind on me. Man mana bhava. Be devoted to me, mad bhakto. Sacrifice to me, madhyaji. Bow down to me, mam namaskuru. Mam avaishyasi. Satyam. I truly promise you this. Te pratijani priyosime. For you are dear to me. Priya, you're priya, you are dear to me. He's saying this to Arjuna, but he's saying this to everyone. You know, everyone is Arjuna. Arjuna is like the everyman or the every person, the universal soul. You know, set your mind on the goal, on the highest goal, and you will reach there. Even though it looks impossible, but you're going to get there. If you really, you can make it if you try. As that old Sly and the Family Stone song goes. You can make it if you try. All right, next verse, 66, chapter 18, verse 66. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam raja aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha yisyami ma suchaha. Abandon all duties, all dharmas. Dharma means duty, but it also means religion, law, morality. So he's basically saying to Arjuna, abandon everything, all dharma, and take refuge in me alone. I will liberate you from all sins, do not grieve. Or I will liberate you from all evil, do not grieve. Throughout the Gita, Krishna is telling Arjuna not to grieve. Grief is suffering, right? Grief is symbolic of you are in your suffering. Krishna is saying you don't need to suffer. Suffering is optional. Abandon all dharma, right? Go beyond all the things of this world. Dharma is, this is a very important line, because this is like saying, because Krishna was saying throughout the Gita, you got to do your dharma. You have to do your duty, do your obligations, fulfill your function in society. But here he's saying, don't worry about anything else. Just go to God. By faith alone, you will get there. And God will, through that faith, you will be liberated. Do not grieve. So that's the end. We just touched upon some of the very important messages of the Gita, but I could have brought in other ones, and some might bring in other famous verses that are important. But I think that gives you some sense of it all. And I would love to hear your thoughts, comments, anything, any verses that you would like to see here, maybe in a revised version of this. But thank you for tuning in, and Hari Om Tat Sat. And ain't that the truth? See you soon. Om.